Today, we are going to be talking about The Crew 2, or more specifically, why we'll be buying it. Now, before we get too far into this, I want to throw out a few disclaimers. The first being that I never owned The Crew, but I did play it. And the second is that this video is entirely based on my opinion, as I have yet to had a chance to play The Crew 2, so it is entirely possible that I am 100% wrong. But what made me want to get the newest entry in this franchise? Well, it can be boiled down quite simply. The Crew 2 has something that makes it different than other racing games, and to understand this, let's take a look at my issues with its predecessor and why I did not buy it. So why didn't I get the first Crew game? Don't get me wrong, The Crew was a good game, but to me, there was a lack of value. The Crew really only had one area where it was more dominant than its competition, and that was the map. When I look at everything else it did, it was a complete turnoff to the franchise, or its competitors simply did it better. Examples of this would be the driving, the car list, and the car customization. So let's start with the driving, this probably being the main reason why I did not get The Crew. To me, the driving in The Crew just didn't feel right. Even games like Need for Speed, which do not have realistic driving physics, managed to pull off a feel that was somewhat natural and comfortable. But I did not find myself experiencing this in The Crew. This can also be tied to the controls and the fact that they were cumbersome. I would love for racing games to allow for control mapping, as I would love to have the same controls for every racing game. The Crew forced you to use a stick to shift if you wanted to use a manual, or else you were forced into an automatic gearbox, which to me was a complete turnoff and a piss off, pardon my language. To me, these two things tied into one that did not make for purchase incentive. Then we move on to the car list and car customization. While the car list is nothing too impressive, this can be attributed to the fact that they most likely dedicated the majority of their resources to the creation of the map. Now, I don't know if this is a fact or not, this is only an assumption that I've made, so I could be entirely wrong. On the same hand, car customization is by no means bad, but when you compare it to what its rivals Need for Speed have, it doesn't measure up. So once again, you find yourself saying the map is really the best thing The Crew has to offer. So what changed? What made me want to get the newest entry in this franchise? Well, the game itself changed. The original Crew to me seemed like it was a really big ocean, but only a few feet deep. But this might not be the right analogy for it. If I were to make sense of it, I would describe it as a one-story shopping mall. The Crew 2, on the other hand, is a multi-layered, multi-story shopping mall. You see, instead of trying to focus purely on cars like most racing games these days, Ivory Towers understood that even if the driving became as fluid and as dynamic as its competitors, the game itself would not have a definitive advantage over its competition. So what do? Simple. You broaden your vision to include what your competitors lack. This is where the Crew 2 comes into a world of its own. When you think about it, apart from Grand Theft Auto, there doesn't seem to be any other game of this size and scope trying to combine so many different vehicles than the Crew 2. What makes it even more exciting is that the game is far more focused on its vehicles than Grand Theft Auto, and when you add on top of that the size and the scope of the map at play, it's hard not to get excited. I would be lying if I were to say that I am not constantly thinking of things that I could do in this game, that I could film in this game, that I could not do in others. So what else is there to do except wait? And you never know, I may just be a hopeless idiot and this may just turn out to be a terrible game. But only time will tell. Well guys, that's going to be it for today's video, and I want to know what you think about everything I discussed today. This video was far more based on my opinion of the franchise than anything else, so I want to ask you, what's your opinion on this, and what do you think? With all that having been said, I hope you guys all enjoy your day, and I will be seeing you all in the next one.